Hello, my name is Kevin Patton and I'm a therapist in Hackney. We may not have caused our problems, but we do have a responsibility to change things for the better. How we relate to other people has a huge effect on the quality of our lives. This is a special bonus video on relationships to go with the Keeping It Real series. We'll begin the session in a few minutes, but first we're going to spend some time coming into the room and getting ready to work. Don't let your mind imprison you. So please allow your left arm to rest on your lap with the wrist loose and your hand hanging limp, palm downwards. Ensure your hand is positioned so it can move freely. Now, in a moment, I'm going to ask you very slowly to raise your hand by bending your wrist like this. The most important thing is I want you to pay close attention to the flexor muscles moving in your forearm. These are the muscles which do the work. Although you may feel a sense of strain or pressure here in the wrist, the kinetic sensation, the sensation of muscular movement, which we're looking for, and we call tension, is located here. I only want you to tense one muscle group at a time. Let the rest of your body remain relaxed. Your aim is to observe exactly where the tension occurs and what it feels like as closely as possible. After a minute, I'll ask you to immediately let the arm go limp, like this. Let your hand flop down, your arm rest completely and utterly limp. While resting your muscles like this for a minute, I want you to closely observe and memorize exactly what that feels like. Notice the contrast, the feelings of tension that preceded it. Genuine muscle relaxation is not really a feeling in itself. It's more of an absence of a feeling, as signals from the nerves to the muscles switch off completely. Call that a null feeling. Your aim is to become more aware of exactly what that absence of tension feels like and to learn to control it at will. Begin by closing your eyes as slowly as you possibly can. With your eyes shut, it's easier to be aware of the feelings in your muscles. Close your eyes slowly now. Now just begin by raising your hand slowly. Keep your breathing normal and relax the rest of your body. Keep the forearm resting on the lap, paying close attention to the feelings in the muscles. You feel the muscles contract in the forearm as you do that. Keep them tense for a moment. Good. Now take a deep breath. And as you exhale, let the arm go limp all at once. Let the hand flop down, limp. Notice the contrasting sensation. This is just a null feeling of doing nothing. Let your hand hang completely limp for a moment. Do nothing. Just let it remain completely limp and motionless, as if the muscles have turned completely to jelly. Pay special attention to the contrast between the previous tension in the muscles you were using and the current absence of that sensation, which we call the null feeling. Okay, now keep your eyes closed while we speak. It's very important that you learn to notice what's really happening there in the muscles. Can you briefly describe the contrast, the difference between the feeling in your forearm when flexed and when relaxed? Just tell this to yourself in your head. Now, with your eyes remaining closed, take a moment to let your whole body relax. Let all the muscles become as limp as possible. Let your breathing remain relaxed. Good. Now keep the rest of the body relaxed. While you isolate that muscle in the forearm and focus all of your attention on the muscle sensations there. The more you use a muscle, the more it will tend to become fatigued. So I want you to raise your hand very slowly again, bending your wrist as far back as is comfortable. Keep paying close attention to the muscles you're actually using. Now take a deep breath. And as you exhale, let your arm go completely limp and notice the contrasting null feeling for a moment. Raise your hand very slowly again. Keep paying close attention to the muscles you're using. Now take a deep breath. As you exhale, let your arm go completely limp and notice the contrasting null feeling for a moment. Raise your hand very slowly again. Keep paying close attention to the muscles you're using. Now take a deep breath. And as you exhale, let your arm go completely limp and notice the contrasting null feeling for a moment. Now you're going to relax your breathing. Begin by slowly pulling your belly inwards and tense your abdominal muscles as if there was a big belt around your middle, which is tightening, squeezing your waist and belly inwards. Keep them as tense as is comfortable for the moment. Keep breathing as naturally as possible. Pay close attention to the muscles you're actually using. Now take a deep breath, and as you exhale, let your belly go limp. And notice the null feeling for a moment. As you let your breathing go and become natural. Slowly pull your belly inwards again, tense your abdominal muscles, keep them as tense as comfortable for a moment. Keep breathing as naturally as possible. Pay close attention to the muscles you're using. Now take a deep breath, and as you exhale, let your belly go completely limp. And notice the contrasting null feeling for a moment as you let your breathing go. Slowly pull your belly inwards and tense your abdominal muscles. Keep them as tense as comfortable for a moment. Keep breathing as naturally as possible, paying close attention to the muscles you're using. Now take a deep breath, and as you exhale, let your belly go completely limp. Notice the contrasting null feeling for a moment as you let your breathing go. Let the body do the breathing for you. Don't interfere. Just let it relax into a natural rhythm and become as free from the tension and automatic as possible. Really let go of the breathing completely and continue to let go of it. Now you're going to relax your speech muscles. Begin by slowly clenching your jaw and keep clenching the muscles as much as is comfortable for a moment. Keep breathing as naturally as possible. Pay close attention to the muscles you're actually using. take a deep breath. And as you exhale, let your jaw muscles go completely limp and slack. Notice the contrasting null feeling for a moment. Slowly clench your jaw. Again, keep tensing the muscles as much as comfortable for a moment. Keep breathing as naturally as possible. Pay close attention to the muscles you're using. Now take a deep breath, and as you exhale, let your jaw muscles go completely limp and slack, and notice the contrasting null feeling for a moment. Slowly clench your jaw again. Keep tensing the muscles as much as comfortable for a moment. Keep breathing as naturally as possible. Pay close attention to the muscles you're using. Now take a deep breath, and as you exhale, let your jaw muscles go completely limp and slack. Notice the contrasting null feeling for a moment. Let go of the jaw muscles completely. Let the jaw hang effortlessly limp and slack. Continue to let go of it. Relax the lips, tongue, the bottom of your mouth. Let all the organs and apparatus of speech go completely and utterly. The activity of thought, especially when accompanied by internal speech, tends to be linked to residual tension in the jaw. Imagine for a moment you're trying again and again repeatedly to pronounce the word quiet in your mind. Imagine the more you try to form the word, the more slack and limp your jaw remains. Not even a flicker in those nerves or muscles. Now let your mind become silent. Your jaw muscles remain resting, effortlessly slack. You're breathing natural. Your whole body limp and relaxed. Notice how relaxing your body, breathing, and jaw muscles can affect your mental activity and your mood. You will always remember how to do that in the future. Now, you're going to relax the muscles of your eyes. Keep your eyes closed and squeeze your eyelids shut tight as comfortable. Keep them tense for a moment. Keep the rest of your body limp and the breathing as natural as possible. Pay close attention to the muscles you're actually using. Now take a deep breath, and as you exhale, let your eyelids go completely limp. Notice the contrasting null feeling for a moment. Squeeze your eyelids shut tight again as much as you can. Keep them tense for a moment. Keep the rest of the body limp and the breathing as natural as possible. Pay close attention to the muscles you're actually using. Now take a deep breath, and as you exhale, let your eyelids go completely limp. And notice the contrasting null feeling for a moment. Squeeze your eyelids shut tight again. Keep them as tight as possible. Keep them tense for a moment. Keep the rest of the body limp and the breathing as natural as possible. Pay close attention to the muscles you're actually using. Now take a deep breath. And as you exhale, let your eyelids go completely limp and notice the contrasting null feeling for a moment. Initially, the eyelids tend to flicker periodically. The eyes tend to shift the focus in their lenses and tense slightly even when the lids are closed. The eyeballs tend to move around slightly under the lids, as if looking at imaginary objects. These things often go unnoticed unless you pay very close attention, but it's you who's doing them. The subtle level of muscle activity can all be reduced simply by being aware of it and imagining the muscles completely null, remaining null. Let your eyes drop down, roll down to the bottom of your socket. Let go of any tension at all, even the slightest tremor of movement. Let your eyes lose their focus and go completely. Don't let yourself freeze or tense up. Just imagine every muscle in and around the eyes becoming vacant and empty. Suspend all use of the eye muscles for a while. Notice how resting your eyes completely changes your mood, your mental activity. You will always remember how to do that in the future. Now imagine your whole body is becoming tense and rigid. Imagine the whole body has been tensed up for a long time, that each individual muscle has been tensed again and again and again until it is totally exhausted. Now take a deep breath, and as you exhale, let go completely, just allowing your whole body to become limp. Let go. Rest and remain effortlessly relaxed. Let your whole body remain limp. Don't make an effort to relax. Don't hold yourself still or freeze your muscles. Let the effort in your body remain null. Let the effort in your breathing remain null. Let the effort in your jaw and speech muscles remain null. Let the effort in your eye muscles remain null. Let the effort in your whole body remain null, completely and utterly limp and relaxed. You will always remember how to do this in the future, and you will get better and better at doing it. So keep returning to that effortless relaxation for a few minutes now. Until you're ready again to open your eyes, begin moving once again. Continue for a few more minutes, as long as is comfortable. And open your eyes when you're ready. Okay, take a deep breath. Breathe deeply. Open your eyes. Have a bit of a stretch. All animals stretch after they've been relaxing. Some of you may have seen the Keeping It Real series of videos focusing on how we can free ourselves from the tyranny of self-limiting thoughts, overwhelming emotions, and self-defeating behaviors that suck the joy from our lives and make us feel small. This session is about relationships and basically how not to be a dick. Social support is the individual belief that one is cared for and loved, esteemed and valued, and belongs to a network of communication and mutual obligations. Now, this you might be familiar with is the Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Down at the bottom, we have our safety needs. We need breathing, we need air, we need food, water, sex, sleep, we need to maintain a homeostasis, and we need to excrete. These are our physiological needs that we need to stay alive. Once we've got those, we need to know that we've got them for tomorrow and the day after. We need security of our body, employment. We need to know that we've got enough resources. We need morality. We need our family, our health. We need property, knowing that we have these things and we can use them whenever we need to. And then on top of that, we need to belong. We need friendship, family, sexual intimacy. And we need to feel good about ourselves. We need self-esteem, confidence, achievement. We need the respect of others, and we need respect by other people. And then being all we can be, we need morality, creativity, spontaneity. We need problem solving, lack of prejudice, acceptance of facts. You can see that in every part of this, social support is an essential part of meeting our needs. We're social animals. We didn't survive because we're bigger and stronger and faster than everything else. We survived because we're smart and we can plan and we cooperate with each other. You know that having contact with other people plays an important part in your mood. So we're going to take a closer look at your social support network, a group of people who provide you with different kinds of support. But also think about the kinds of support that you provide to other people. So who provides you with practical support? Who would drive you to the hospital appointment or lend you the power drill? And is there anyone you support with practical issues? Who might you go to for advice if you feel ill or you need some advice about money problems or something you don't really understand and you're having trouble with? And is there anyone you support with good advice? Who provides you with companionship? Who would go for a walk with you or share your joys? And is there anyone you support in this way? Who do you share your feelings with? Who encourages you and helps you feel better? Is there anyone who you encourage and help feel better when they're going through some rough times? What do you notice about your current social support network? Does anything jump out at you when you look at your social support network? How many people do you have on your list? Do you have plenty of support? Are they mainly your friends, family, your co-workers, health workers? Where could you use more support? Is there anyone you mentioned several times? Do you rely too much on one person? It will improve your mood to be supportive of other people. No matter how hard our lives are, most of us find that it feels good to help someone else. Who do you support? Who would count on you as being part of their social support network? Remember when we were looking at the chemistry of feelings and we looked at oxytocin and connectedness? One way to make your social support network stronger is to meet new people. Now, doing this is not always easy, especially if you're feeling a bit down. So, let's talk about some good ways to meet new people. Now, the easiest way to meet people is to do something that you honestly like doing, a flow activity, and do it in the company of other people. Even if you don't make a new friend, you'll be doing something pleasant and you won't feel like you've wasted your time, and there won't be any pressure on you to meet other people. And the thing is, when you're doing something that you really love doing, you shine and you're feeling easier in yourself. And people want more of that. They want to be around people like that. They want to get some of that for themselves. So they'll be more interested in engaging with you because they want some of that you're getting. So, what activities could you do around other people? You could go to church, you could go dancing, play a sport, maybe go to sports events, football matches, or rugby matches, or cricket, or whatever. Go to free music concerts in the park. Go to mutual aid meetings like Smart Recovery. You could volunteer at an animal shelter or litter pickup day, for example. You could help a neighbour mow their lawn. You could join a club. You're interested in darts or stamp collecting or chess or Dungeons and Dragons or whatever. Go to a museum, you could go to a film, you could go to a play. Now, new friendships develop slowly. If someone comes and tells you all about themselves and goes really deep into emotions and tells you all their deep, dark secrets on first meeting, there's something wrong, right? That's a big red flag there. And you can test out a new acquaintance for trustworthiness and keep yourself physically and emotionally safe by taking some small steps. You can make plans to have coffee, maybe meet them in a public place. Don't make a commitment to spending a long time together, just a few minutes. Maybe in your lunch break or after work. Take care of your own transportation. Don't rely on them or someone else coming to pick you up. Make similar arrangements for the next few times you get together. Once you feel comfortable and you enjoy their company and they seem to be getting on with you, you might agree to go to dinner or a film. Maybe later you can agree to spend some more time together. You let it build. You've got to enjoy each other's company. If you're putting yourself out for this other person right away, this relationship's not really going in the place it should. It should be something that you honestly enjoy just hanging with them. We're going to spend a bit more time on this. So, got a game. It's time to elect a world leader, and you've got the deciding vote. Now, here are some of the facts about the three leading candidates. Candidate A associates with crooked politicians, he consults with astrologers, he's had 2 mistresses, he chain smokes and drinks up to 10 martinis a day. Now, candidate B, he was ejected from office twice. He sleeps till noon, he used opium in college, drinks large amounts of whiskey every evening. Candidate C is a decorated war hero, he's vegetarian, he doesn't smoke, he drinks an occasional beer, and he hasn't had any extramarital affairs. Which of these candidates would be your choice to be world leader? Who would you trust to consistently make the right decisions and be fair in all their dealings? A, B, or C? Okay. Let's look at what our survey said. Candidate A was Franklin D. Roosevelt. Candidate B was Winston Churchill, and candidate C was Adolf Hitler. Now, we all tend to make ethical judgments based on conditioned and subjective views of what's right and proper, and we tend to make snap decisions in assessing whether something's right or wrong before we have the full story. And this is something we do every day. Right? slow things down. Get to know a little bit more about the people around you before you're so quick to say he's a good guy, he's a bad guy, she's a waste of time, whatever. Everyone's got their own story, everyone's got their own struggle. The more you do that, the more interest and attention you pay to other people, the better your relationships, the stronger your relationships are going to be. Which of these two pictures catches your interest more? Which of these appears to be more approachable and sympathetic? In social psychology, reciprocity means responding to a positive action with another positive action, rewarding kind actions. As a social construct, reciprocity means that in response to friendly actions, people are frequently much nicer, are much more cooperative than predicted by the self-interest model. Conversely, in response to hostile actions, they are frequently much more nasty and even brutal. People categorize an action as kind by viewing its consequences and also by the person's fundamental intentions. Even if the consequences are the same, underlying intentions can cause an action to be reciprocated differently. Reciprocity is considered as strong a determining factor of human behavior as anything else. Positive reciprocal actions differ from altruistic actions, as the former only follow from other positive actions, and they differ from social gift giving in that those are not actions taken with the hope or expectation of future positive responses. In essence, we are interested in people who are interested in us. The chances are that although both pictures show the same model in the same pose, you were more drawn to picture 2. This picture has been retouched to increase the pupil size, which is a non-verbal cue indicating interest. Showing interest in the people we're with means that they are more interested in us. If we're paying them good attention, they're interested in why. And now you've got their attention. That doesn't mean they're going to fall into your arms and live happily ever after. It means that they're interested about you being interested in them. Now, if you've ever been in a bar or even a school playground and someone's giving you the evils, you know about it. You pick up on it really fast. It's the same with good attention. If you are really showing an interest in that other person's well-being, they are paying more attention to you. Sharing your thoughts and feelings calls to another. It opens yourself up to communicate and lets others know that you're approachable. Developing your abilities to communicate allows you to share deeper in the lives of those you care about, and it allows them the opportunity to share with you. And we do this mostly by listening. Now, this is the Chinese character Ting, to listen. Now, Chinese paint in pictures. These are called pictograms. So the Chinese character for listen includes a representation of the ear, the eyes, undivided attention, heart, whole self. This is what you're bringing when you're actively listening. It means giving your full attention to the conversation and really getting what the other person is saying. You're not hearing them, you're listening to them. So you've been going out, you've been doing things you really love doing, and some people are kind of want some of that joy and flow you're having, and you've had a few coffees, gone out, and it might go a step further. Yes, this is where you've got to be looking after your boundaries. Healthy relationships, caring, honest, there's trust and respect, openness, hard work, pleasure, quiet times, exciting times, and lots of communication. Unhealthy relationships, fear, jealousy, there's manipulation, violence, pushing yourself aside, pain, expecting constant attention, intimidation, selfishness, mean jokes, and name calling. All of these are telling you that this is not a healthy relationship. So we've got a bit of a quiz now. So you can see there's an action and we've got healthy or unhealthy. So using alcohol or drugs as an excuse for hurtful behavior, is that a sign of a healthy relationship or an unhealthy relationship? It's unhealthy, isn't it? Trying to control what your partner does so you don't get hurt, is that a sign of a healthy relationship or an unhealthy relationship? Definitely not a healthy relationship. There's no trust there. That's why they're trying to control you in the first place. What about going back on your promises? Do you reckon that's healthy or unhealthy in relationships? Yeah, I mean, that's unhealthy. You're lying to them. You're making promises you can't keep in order to get some affection or whatever. Not a healthy relationship. If that's going on, you got to rethink about, is this someone you want to be spending your time with? What about having some privacy and your letters and phone calls are respected as your own? Yeah, that's pretty healthy. Solving problems without putting each other down or cursing or making threats. Yeah, that's a healthy thing as well. Now, your close friends and your family like your partner and they're happy about the relationship. Healthy or unhealthy? Well, that's a good thing, isn't it? The converse is also true. If your friends and family are not so happy about your partner, maybe it's time, maybe they know something you don't, maybe they've picked up on something you haven't seen. Right, so what about embarrassing or humiliating your partner as a joke? Is that healthy or unhealthy? It's not really healthy. Someone who's making themselves popular with the other people around them, sounding funny at your expense. They think more about how they appear to the other people around them than they're thinking about your feelings. It's not a healthy thing to do. It's not good for your relationship. About pressuring your partner for sex. You're all up to go and they're just not feeling it, and you wheedle and you push and oh, come on. Is that healthy or unhealthy for a relationship? Of course it's not healthy. You're putting your feelings in front of theirs. They're thinking that you don't really give a shit about how they feel as long as you get yours. That's not gonna lead the relationship to a good place. And is it you really like your partner, or is it you really like sex? What about telling your partner that you can't live without them, you'll kill yourself if they leave? That's not a healthy place to be. Your partner is not there to complete you. You and your partner are strong in yourselves and complete in yourselves. And your relation, you're like two mountains, both strong, complete, stable in yourselves. And the valley between these two mountains is your relationship. It can be barren, it can be rocky and spiky, or it can be full of forests and lush vegetation and streams and full of animals and life, depending on how you treat each other. If you need your partner to survive, you're not in a good place. And if your partner is telling you that, they're definitely not in a good place. And how much emotional energy have they got left over for you? Can they really give you the attention you need and nurture you? And they're so messed up themselves. Now, encouraging your partner's interests like sports or hobbies, well, regardless of whether you like them, is this a good thing? Is this good for a relationship? Is this bad for a relationship? Of course, it's good for a relationship. It shows that you care about what they enjoy and that you want them to be having a good time. You care about them developing. What about grabbing, pushing, hitting, or hurting your partner? I shouldn't even have to be telling you this, should I? That's not good for a relationship. That's an unhealthy relationship right there. Equal decision making, having the power to decide what you do in your relationship, both equally. Well, of course, that's a good thing. So we focused on how we listen. So we're going to spend a bit of time looking at how we talk. In general, there are three main ways that we communicate what we want. We can do it in a passive way, an aggressive way, or an assertive way. Now, passive is when a person puts the needs of other people before the needs of themselves. They deny their own feelings and their rights and rarely express them openly. They tend not to have their needs met and are taken advantage of. People would say they had low self-esteem and they allow other people to make their choices for them. So what I feel in my life, none of that's important. You're the important one here. You're the clever one. You're the powerful one. What you want is more important than what I want. Now, aggressive is when a person tries to get what they want with no thought for the other person's feelings. This can be done by threats, sarcasm, bullying. It often involves the person pushing their choices onto others. They may get what they want, but they're often not liked and they're feared. Right? It's all about me. It's about what I want. You don't matter. Assertive behavior is when a person stands up for their own rights, expressing their own feelings, or respecting the rights and feelings of other people. Being able to express both positive and negative feelings comfortably without feeling anxious. Feeling confident about themselves, enabling them to deal with how other people behave towards them without getting defensive. What's important is that you're aware of the different styles of communication and you can choose how you will act in different situations. Take a moment to think about which style of communication you tend to use. How do you feel when you use that communication style? And what style would move you closer to being the person you want to be, living the life you want to live? Good communication has been called the lifeblood of any meaningful close relationship. Communication itself is the foundation of our interactions with other people. It can take the form of a smile, a handshake, a kind word, an angry stare, a tearful goodbye, a wink across the room, or a warm conversation. All of these words and actions combine to send a message, to communicate. Research on strong relationships has consistently shown that good communication is one of the cornerstones of a healthy life. To strengthen communication, we need to understand what communication is and how to make it better. Real, genuine communication makes it possible for the people close to you to feel cared for and listened to, and assures them that their thoughts and ideas have been clearly understood. Yeah, you get me. Communication in relationships is not only about what we say or suggest, but about how we say it and the strategies we use to send out our messages. It's been said that you cannot not communicate. It's impossible not to communicate. In other words, even if you're sitting in a corner and not talking to your partner, you're still sending a message, such as leave me alone. John Gottman, a leading expert on relationships, has found that a key difference in healthy versus unhealthy relationships is the amount of positive rather than negative interactions that take place. Strengthening communication so that it is constantly positive, open, meaningful is important for building better relationships. Take a moment to think about a problem or conflict that you've had with another person that might be affecting your mood. We're going to begin focusing on managing disagreements with other people by using problem solving. The first step is to identify the problem. So seeing the problem as inside you or another person, your problem is you're lazy, you never help me, everything you do. The first thing in managing your disagreements is to identify the problem and treat the problem as a separate thing that can be addressed by both of you. You are not the problem, and neither is the other person. The problem is the dishes need to be done. There's a lot of work to do, and we're both very busy. My depression is a real problem here. It's making me more irritable. So now you're two people trying to solve the conflict that you were thinking about earlier. Some ideas at this brainstorm, some ideas. At this point, we're not concerned whether or not the ideas are good. This is about generating alternatives. Remember, we looked at the problem-solving approach, the keeping it real videos. This is about generating alternatives. The more alternatives you have, the more freedom you have. You're thinking, imagine one or two realistic results that would be good for you. Focus on what you can do to increase the chances of one of these healthy outcomes are going to happen. We could, I could, Nonviolent communication, NVC, offers practical and powerful techniques based on a conscious interdependence and the concept of power with instead of power over others. When someone else says or does something and we are upset, notice the way I said that. Someone did something and we are upset. Not someone upset us. When someone does or says something and we're upset, we can behave like jackals. We can blame the other person, we can blame ourselves, and we can get ourselves hooked into fear and anger and shame. Jackals are pack animals. For them, it's all about who's on top, who's right, who's wrong. If 5 win, you gotta lose. Everything is seen as deserving either a reward or punishment for themselves or for other people. There's no real choice in this. Always judging, analyzing, blaming. Or we can be like giraffes, connecting to our feelings and the feelings of others who matter to us, letting go of who's right or who's wrong and focusing on how to make things better for yourself and for the people you love. Nonviolent communication skills emphasize personal responsibility for our actions and the choices we make when we respond to others, as well as how to contribute to relationships based in cooperation and collaboration. Now, the nonviolent communication process, we start with observations, just the facts, no judgments, no accusations. Take away all those hot language buttons. We observe what is actually happening in a situation, what we're observing others saying or doing that is either enriching or not enriching our lives. The trick is to be able to articulate this observation without introducing any judgment or evaluation, to simply say what people are doing that we either like or we don't like. And then we talk about our feelings. We state how we feel when we observe this action. Are we hurt, scared, joyful, amused, irritated? What's our emotional response? These are our emotional responses, not our thoughts. Right? There's no such thing as feeling betrayed. That's an evaluation of an experience. We tell ourselves that we've been betrayed. What we're actually feeling might be anger, disappointment, sadness, etc. What are you feeling? What's the emotional response? What's going on inside? That's usually directed towards our needs. There's something that we need, a preference that we have that isn't being met, and that's triggering this unpleasant thought, this unpleasant emotion. There's a value that isn't being met or isn't being respected. So then we say, what preferences are connected to the feelings we've identified? And awareness of these three components is present when we use non-violent communication to clearly and honestly express how we are. So the needs we have are generally universal. Other people have them too. They can identify with them. It's what you want, not how you think you're going to get it. That's the next bit. The fourth component expresses something specific that we would like from the other person that would enrich our lives or make life more manageable for us. It's one of the many ways to meet your needs. Not the only way. And are you ready to hear no? If you are, it's a request. If you're not ready to hear the word no, it's a demand. And the more demands you make, the more you're setting up a conflict, the more you're taking their choice away from them. And that gets people's backs up. Get your back up, isn't it? So the concrete actions we're observing are affecting our well-being, how we're feeling in relation to what we're observing, our preferences, desires that are creating our feelings, the concrete actions that we request in order to enrich our lives. So, Johnny's mum comes home after a hard day's work and finds Johnny's muddy football kit all over the floor and Johnny playing Call of Duty. Now, she could get hooked by all her fatigue and frustration and unleash on Johnny. I know we've all been in that scenario. But mum's been around the block a few times and decides to actually communicate with her son just to see how it goes. Johnny, when I come home after working all day and I see your football kit all over the floor, I feel frustrated because I think that I'm tired and hungry and I've got to do all this work before I can unwind after work. I would like us both to be able to relax after we come home and maybe even spend a bit of time with each other before having to go out and do it all over again. What do you think? You go for the low-hanging fruit. You go for the buy-in, something that they can identify with. Now, Johnny knows something's up with his mum. And he doesn't really want to get into a fight with her. He's just about to level up. He says he'd like that too. Now it's time for mum to ask for what she wants. Do you think you could put your football kit in the laundry bin when you come home? Whoa, right, Johnny really walked into that one. And he's just about to level up. He saw what she did there, and now it's his turn. When you ask me to put my kit away, I feel frustrated because I'm in the middle of something that matters to me right now, and I think that I'll lose my flow if I stop. We both want to unwind and have a good evening after coming home. Could you let me finish this bit of the game before I clear up my kit? Okay. The language there is a little bit formal. You kind of get the idea. When A happens, I feel B because I think C. It's not you did it to me. I think C, and that causes me to feel B. Right, back to Albert Ellis. Right, activating event. The belief about the event and the consequence. I would really like X. Now you're trying to, in any negotiation, you get the other person to buy in before you tell them the price. Right? You got to know that they want the car before you try and tell them how much it's going to cost them. Do you think once the common goals established, then you say, well, okay, we both want this. Could you do X? Now, the other person's going to have some thoughts and feelings about that. So it's negotiating. So when someone puts this on you, you say, okay, when you say that you want me to do X, I feel whatever, because I think, well, it's going to cost me. I'm in the middle of something else I want to do. It's conflicting with something else. Now, we both want the X, right? So could you do Z? Right? And you're now two people working towards something that you both want rather than an argument, because you've got the buy-in. Right. Now, there's two parts to non-violent communication. Showing empathy is listening through the four components, listening empathically to what their observations, feelings, needs, and requests are. And then being honest, having the courage to show up and tell the other person what you're seeing, what you're feeling, what you need right now, and asking them to do some stuff that's going to make your life and hopefully their life a little bit easier, a little bit richer. So those of you who remember the Keeping It Real video series, we talked about courage. And that's a man standing out under a storm. Bring it. Whatever comes, I'm ready. Right. So we're going to have a bit of a quiz here, a bit of a game. I'm going to read a sentence and you decide whether it's a giraffe comment, a clear observation, feeling, need, and request, or a jackal statement, all about judgment and right and wrong. And I'm going to ask you to think about it. So we've done one, done two out here. It's way too late to be making such an awful racket. That's a judgment. That's a jackal thing. It's 2 a.m. and I hear your stereo playing. That's an observation. Okay? So I just looked in the refrigerator and saw that there's no food. What's that? That's a giraffe statement. That's an observation. There's no blame there. There's no judgment. It's just a fact. I looked in the refrigerator and saw that there's no food. Of course, if there was some food, but not very much, then that would become a jackal statement. That's a big exaggeration. You say what the fact is. Don't add to it, don't embellish it. Okay, I hear what you're saying. I think you're in denial. That sounds like someone's trying to be helpful, trying to compromise, but they're not. They're judging you. That's a jackal. It's just perhaps a more polite, or certainly a more technical way of saying you're wrong. I'm trying to play the psychoanalyst there using words like denial. Right? It's a difference between the sort of work that I do with people and the sort of work you'll find from people who are into psychodynamic or psychoanalytic approaches, where they're always right. And if the plan isn't working, it's because you're doing it wrong. It's not because it's the wrong plan. They are never wrong. You disagree with them. You're in denial. You haven't got their insight. You haven't got their gift. Yeah, I think you can hear my jackal coming out there. You can't talk to me like that. Is that a jackal or a giraffe? That's definitely a jackal, isn't it? You can't. Boom. There it is. No choice in the matter. I'm telling you. I see you looking away while I'm talking, and you've been speaking so quietly I can't hear you. I'm feeling uncomfortable because I'm needing a connection right now. That's a giraffe. I see you looking away while I'm talking. That's an observation, and you've been speaking so quietly. Another observation. I can't hear you. It's another statement of fact. Now comes the feeling. I'm feeling uncomfortable because I need a connection right now. It could be a thought, it could be an evaluation of the experience. I need a connection right now. A couple of observations, statement of feeling. You haven't made a request, but that's definitely giraffe speak. You're not listening to me. That's a jackal. Judgment right away. From their behavior, you are making an evaluation of what's happening. Maybe they are listening to you, but they can't think of how to respond, or maybe they're shy, or maybe they're a bit intimidated. It's half an hour to go before the show starts, and I can see that you're pacing. Are you nervous? That's giraffe. That's an observation. And then checking in. They're not making a judgment that you're nervous. They're checking whether you're nervous or not. Saying what they can see. They're saying what they observe happening. And then they're asking you a question. You wasted the whole day and didn't do any shopping. Yeah, that's a jackal, isn't it? They're telling you what you did. They know what you did. I can see your dog running around without a leash and it's barking. I'm scared. That's a giraffe. I'm not saying your dog's scaring me. I'm saying I see your dog running around without a leash and it's barking, and I feel scared. It's not the dog's responsibility that you're scared. That's an observation and an expression of feelings. I see you're bored with this game. That's a jackal right there. I'm making a decision about what you're feeling. I might be right. It's not the most exciting game in the world. Only a couple more. You're scaring me now. That's a jackal. You're making someone else responsible for how you feel. They may be behaving in a particular way, and you're feeling scared or intimidated. They might be doing it on purpose. They might not. But by you saying, you're scaring me now, you're trying to manipulate them into doing something else. You're making them responsible for your feelings. You are responsible for how you feel. No one else can change the way you feel. Only you can do that. Remember that problem or conflict that you had with the other person that was affecting your mood. So something they did or something they said that you found hard to accept. That was affecting how you felt. What was the emotion that you felt? What was the need that you had that wasn't being met? What was the thing that you wanted to bring more of into your life that wasn't happening? What do you think the other person was feeling? What need do you think they were trying to fulfill by doing what they did or saying what they said? Now, if they were able to communicate this without getting into judgments of who's right and wrong and demanding that everyone fits in with what they want, what would they say in OFNR language? Observation, feeling, need, and request. If they said it this way, how would you respond on your best day? Using observation, feeling, need, and request. And what is it that you feel now? So, we looked at our social networks, how we might develop these. We looked at what really listening to someone entails. We looked at how paying attention to people makes it more likely that they're going to pay attention to you. We looked at what is and what isn't part of a healthy relationship. We discussed nonviolent communication, looking at how we behave like jackals towards each other, getting caught up in anger, fear, shame, guilt. Comparing this to behaving like giraffes, tuning into our feelings, the feelings of those who matter to us, focusing on how we might work together. Good relationships are about partnership to have a more joyful and meaningful life. How might you use this stuff to help you move towards the life you want to live? This is my email or my phone number. Please feel free to contact me if you have any thoughts or questions about any of the things we've discussed. Thanks a lot for watching.